The greatest Ohio State quarterback in the history of the NFL is happening right now, AJ. And when we got a chance to watch him play against the Georgia Bulldogs down there at the college football playoff in Atlanta, we were on the sideline getting a chance to cover, which is a joke. We're so incredibly lucky to be able to do that. As soon as we saw CJ do anything, though, we all, with right minds, said, boom, there's a Sunday quarterback right there. Then as the draft process was happening and Bryce Young was Steph Curry, remember?
Yep.
Bryce Young is the Steph Curry of football. You need to sign him. He's got to be the number one, obvious number one. Carolina's not working out. That's probably a lot more than just him. But this C.J. Stroud dude, you're an Ohio State legend. You see him from the beginning whenever Ohio State fans wanted him out of town, all the way through his development and his growth of who he is and who he's become. Did you know it was going to be like this down there in Houston? Did Ohio State fans know that this is what C.J. Stroud was going to do on Sundays in the men's league? He is phenomenal. 470 yards yesterday, which is a record for the most amount of yards thrown in a game by a rookie. He had game-winning touchdown was in a bucket. He never blinked. Baker Mayfield had a great game.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a phenomenal game. Ooh. And then at the very end of this, C.J. Stroud showcased his it factor and leads him on a game-winning drive. AJ, did you guys know this was coming out of Ohio State?
I definitely think everyone in Ohio State, they knew that this was a possibility. I think what is surprising, I guess, is how easy he's making it look. Like he makes it look like,
did you see that ball?
Like he's been there forever. Like he's been in the league for a long time doing this. Like he seems so comfortable in the pocket. I've mentioned on here multiple times, like the first time I got to go watch CJ play in person in the stadium and just watch how he handled himself in between the snaps, how he handled like the O-lineman, everything about it. Like he just seemed to always kind of be in control and be that level-headed dude that never is really too high or too low.
There's a game winner. No big deal. Perfect. How you doing? Keep it. How about him? That last ball on the side. He basically got in a drone, hovered over, and just handed it right into the spot it needed to go. There's two guys cover. Cover the guy. They did. They are. Yeah. That's an impossible throw. 35 yards down the field. His arm talent, bananas. How he's bought into being the representative of Houston, phenomenal. Then you talk about him, his football IQ is seemingly through the roof. AQ Shipley texted me and said, hey, watching this Houston offense, coordinator doing a great job. This is like San Francisco 2.0 almost what's happening. And a quarterback has to make a lot of good decisions in those types of offenses. He's been doing it since the beginning.
It's crazy. It's the big boy league, and he's making it like those are like pro days throws. Like he's going through it. He's setting, he's pump faking. And you look at all those throws, like the ball placement, because that's the biggest thing in the NFL, because open, wide open, what is that in the NFL compared to college? The ball placement, and then what they gave him the most shit about coming out or closer to the draft, the processing part of it. The processing and knowing where to go with the ball, that's obviously a huge part as well. And he looks like a 10-year vet. Like, I mean, it's incredible how this dude is looking this early in his career.
Well, and his team, much better than I think any of us could have fathomed. Offensive line performing phenomenally, but let's not overlook that, this is obviously the stats of C.J. Stroud. Record-wrecking rookie. You see that?
Love that.
Clever.
Small dub. It's still spelled right, but you see it's triple R right there across the top.
Pretty good.
Great work there, Bill McComas. And they say we need 2 to 3 years here to really see what Bryce Young is and Frank Reich's offense getting in there and them all being able to work together, maybe more weapons. Or is it more likely that we see another situation with a quarterback where it's like new OC coming in next year? Yeah. New OC coming in the year after, and then we're going to be stuck asking the question. Everybody called this guy Steph Curry. It's like, do we have any idea if that's the case? Probably not.
Well, do you think like now it almost becomes more apparent, or it seems likely that that Houston was the one leaking all that negative shit about C.J. Stroud?
Whoa.
Like, you know, I mean,
Cereal never.
Well, I mean,
you're right. Jack Eastby left the building, though.
If they knew that he was potentially going to do this, like it just a masterful move by kind of handcuffing Carolina and being like, no, you guys got Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Take Steph Curry. We'll take, Bogdanovich with the second pick and be okay with it, when they knew, like, hey, this is the best guy in this draft class.
All right, somebody text Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah.
Tell him it's Steph Curry of football.
Now.
That's a pretty good description, right?
You know him, John.
All in favor of that? Say aye. Aye. Perfect. Text Dan. All right, now, CJ's so dumb.
Yeah.
What's a test we can make up? 02450?
Yeah. Basically, you can't read.
Guy doesn't even understand. Somebody. All right, send that to whichever, all of them. All of them.
Yeah.
Send that to all the insiders. Okay, so we got Steph Curry, and we got a guy that has no idea how to function as a human. We should be able to get him at 2, no problem. And then it kind of starts working like that. And then you hear everybody's like, you know what, Bryce Young, after you start watching the film, it's like, this guy, his size, he's going to be able to beat it. It's like, now we're all starting to question, like, is he? Is he going to be able to do what he did in college in the NFL? That's the same question I have for Caleb after watching Caleb Williams. Like, Caleb Williams is awesome to watch, but a lot of his playmaking is like beating dudes and like getting out of tackles and shaking people. It's like, is he going to be able to do that against guys that are 260 running 4.2s as opposed to dudes that aren't? It's like, I think so. I hope so, because that'd be good for the NFL. But it's like with Bryce Young, he had such good feel in college. Remember, they're like, this guy, the feel he has, the natural feel, he's able to do it. And it's like, well, does that stop a 4.4 guy who happens to play D tackle or an outside edge guy? Is that going to stop them because he has good feel in college? It's the SEC. It's like all the all-stars from the SEC are playing from the last 10 years in the NFL. It's not just SEC as a whole. It's fascinating whenever you're trying to figure out who's the right guy, because CJ Stroud, 10 weeks into this thing, clearly was the right choice. But will we ever know if Bryce had an opportunity? I don't know. I have no idea.
We saw it quick. Like, me, AJ, yourself, all of us are on that field in Atlanta. Like, we saw, okay, this. I hadn't seen him play much up until then. I know AJ talked about him not moving and scrambling as much before that game, but to see him, speaking of the SEC All-Star, going against that Georgia team, who I feel like if Marvin Harrison stays healthy, they probably win that game because he was killing them. But so we saw it. Obviously, you know, through the process in the draft, all this shit starts to come out. You start almost finding reasons not to draft a guy. But I don't think any of us are surprised by him. But it goes back to, what are the Panthers doing around him? You know, you're already picking a guy. He's small. He's going to be an outlier if he's successful in the NFL. But what are you doing around him? The Texans, you went out and traded another pick to get Will Anderson to get a frontline defender. You go and hit a home run with DeMeco Ryans at head coach. Your offensive line, you pay your offensive line, your top offensive lineman in the league, Happy Tank Dell, you know, all these Nico Collins, freaking Noah Brown, like all Dalton Schultz. Like, you're getting guys around him to help him be successful. So it's always a team effort when it comes to this quarterback.
They hit on Tank Dell too.
Yeah, that was a homer.
What a player.
Yeah.
And just the other guys he's playing with. Like, Nico Collins has been on the Texans, but he's having the greatest year of his career by a large margin.
Who's the OC at the Texans?
Bobby Slowick.
So the things that are being said about his offense, AJ, I don't know if I've not broken down the film. I guess I should. I should do that because of what CJ's doing. But it's like those who are breaking it down are like, hey, this offense too, very good.
Yeah.
Like the way they're being set up for success. The offensive line is protecting whenever they have to, and CJ's making all of the throws, which is why you have such quick success. And then their whole team, like, as opposed to just saying, we're done when Baker walks down the field and takes the lead late in the fourth, they all had that belief that they were going to walk right back. It's a whole new vibe with the drafting of CJ Stroud. Do you see that in Carolina? Do you see it? I don't know.
Is it possible in the near future that you see that in Carolina? That's the other question too. Like, what is, if they don't make any changes, what do they look like next year? What do they look like the rest of this year?
I have a hard time putting it on Bryce when we knew or had ideas of how bad the situation was here under Frank Reich, and then they're like, let's hire that guy again and see what happens. And guess what? Oh, it's the same.
Frank looks like he has zero soul on the sideline.
Oh, yeah.
There was a 45-second shot of him, and I don't think he blinked.
Tough spot to be in, man. That would be so brutal.